Well, are you ready for some unindoctrination? I hope so. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you straight out of the heartland. No, this is not late night in the heartland. This is, of course, a great show about white Dianetics, but we wanted to give a rather gratuitous, I just barely missed. I was trying to get this where it didn't show into that. Gonna have to redo it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here. Before we switch over into our, Daniel, I love your meme. Before we switch over into our great study on Dianetics, I just want to remind you that at 11 o'clock tonight, we're coming up with our Create Yourself, with the Late Night in the Heartland show. I'm trying to do three things at once here, and we're going to be having a great time doing that. And if you want to get warmed up at 10 o'clock p.m. Central, you can watch Alex Steen, The Conspiracy Castle, with your conspiracy asshole, Alex Steen. He said it, I didn't. So check that out. It's a really good show. It's a fun show, and I think that you will enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our study tonight. And don't get too excited. That does not say the orgasm. It says the organism. So we're going to talk about, I guess I need to change my green screen, don't I? We're going to talk about the cell and the organism as it relates, ladies and gentlemen, to creating yourself with white Dianetics. So it's going to be a good time, and I'm sure a good time will be had by all. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. I think you're going to get a lot out of this. It just gets deeper, and it gets deeper, and it gets more powerful, and it gets more powerful. So there we go. The cell and the organism. Create yourself with white Dianetics. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, and ready or not, here we go. So folks, we're going to talk tonight about the long hidden engram. I still like to say engram, even though I know it's an engram. The long hidden engram. You know, I'm sorry that Eddie Van Halen died, but we're not talking about Eddie Van Halen tonight, okay? We're not talking about Eddie Van Halen. The reason the engram has been so successful in remaining hidden from us is that the single source of aberration, you know what aberration is, that's when shit don't work, and psychosomatic ills is the wide and almost infinitely complex manifestations which can derive from even the simplest of engrams. So there's a lot of people trying to hide the truth of the engrams. Why do you think with something like Scientology, I know it's the big church that we think is a cult, because it is, but why do you think there's so much media print and media film out there against the idea of Dianetics? Well, because it's got some real truth. Why did Facebook ban just now all Q-related talk? Because it's too close to the truth. And there's a lot of people that hide truth. And as Tracy said, engrams are very, very helpful and useful to those people. And there's lots of people that hide truths. And it's in religion, it's in media, it's in finance, it's in government. And guess what? Those are the same things, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Those are the same things, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys, but you guys are sometimes like squirrels. It's just funny. But anyway, let's look at it. We're going to trace down, we're going to look at the long hidden engram. And there's a definite connection between the electric-like energy in the body and the energy effusion of cells undergoing energy or undergoing trauma. And there's also what I was very busy, and I messed the sentence up. But there's a definite connection between an electric-like energy in the body and the energy effusion of a cell that's undergoing, it's supposed to be injury. So when a cell gets injured, it puts off electric current. It puts off electric current, ladies and gentlemen. And when you look at the body as a body of cells, you can also look at humanity as a whole, and then humanity as individuals as cells. And when we put off hurt, where we put off pain, when we hurt, we all hurt. And when you get butt hurt and you think you're hurt, but you're not. You just butt hurt. You still put off and you take away from the efficient functioning of the entire human organism, which is all of us. Why do you think they want to try to get the black race all upset? Well, because when the black race is upset, it pulls down the tone, and we'll talk about that, of the human race. When the white race gets upset, it pulls down the tone of the human race. So when you get two races upset, plus you got the red race, they're really pissed. All the races are being convinced that they've been injured, and they're putting off this injury electricity, and it's pulling down the human race. If I could, I'd like to help all the races be their best, but I can't help nobody but mine, so I'm going to help mine. We need to quit being victims. We need to quit putting off the electric-like energy. I'm not saying it's electric, but it's electric-like energy. We need to be putting off that trauma that we think, and most of it's just drama, and it turns into collective trauma, like Brandon says. Now, these cells, and what am I doing? Okay, these cells might be distributed throughout the body to lessen the likelihood of local incapacitation at the point of injury impact. So there's cells, when they get hurt and they put off energy. Well, it's possible that they are spaced throughout the body the way that they are, so that it doesn't take down the whole system. Cells in a pro-survival action seem to group together in colonies for the act of increasing chances of survival. So again, cells are going to get injured, but a cell that gets injured, if it's by itself, is in a lot more trouble than a cell that gets injured and it has some collective other cells to help it. It has some other collective cells to diffuse it across. We're talking about real injury. And that's the way cells do. And that's a lesson for us as human beings. And what do you think? Do cells of same types or cells of different types group together? You know the answer to that. And this is what all sentient beings do. So is the tendency of like to congregate with like from the cell to the human, does that indicate some kind of hardwired inclination towards racist segregation? No. It reveals a hardwired inclination towards survival. Think of that. It's very, very deep. It's a very, very deep concept. It's all right to gather together with like. And when like gathers together with like, each like gets better, then they can hang out with each other, brah. Think about that. Very, very deep concept there. The concept of the electric brain, the electric body, is only helpful to Dianetics. If it went away, Dianetics would still stand. And Dianetic works, ladies and gentlemen, and it works every single time without exception. Jeff, why would you teach Dianetics? Why would you teach Scientology? Everybody already hates you. Now they double hate you. Like I said, my give a damn's busted. And I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to fulfill my mission. And my mission is to help as many people in this world as possible, hopefully the whole world. My mission is to unindoctrinate the entire world. And why am I using Dianetics? Because I've been doing this for 40 years. I have studied it all, folks. And Dianetics, white Scientology, is the most elegant and efficient spiritual technology, actually a group of spiritual technologies that I've ever seen. And it works without exception. And the thing I like about it is that it works, but it also allows itself to be affected by new discoveries. And new discoveries aren't, oh, no, we don't believe that. No, you can't do that. It's like, oh, well, damn, that looks like it works. Let's go ahead and bring that in. But see, most people, well, here I go. Why are so many in our greater community not of the same mind? The flat earth, people that are Christians, right? And all of a sudden they discover the flat earth truth. But they're not willing to let the truth of somebody else that may not be Christian come in without attacking them. Dianetics is not psychology whatsoever. Psychology is a snare and a racket. Dianetics is a spiritual technology. If you get to the place where you know everything and you can't be confused with new truth, you're in trouble. And when you are at the place where you're convinced you know everything and you don't want to be confused with new truth and you don't know that, then you're really in trouble. And there's a lot of people like that in our community. And almost all of them are the Christians. That's why I'm the Christian whistleblower. We're trying to get through. And Jeff, why are you going to say the Christian whistleblower? Why do you come out so hard? Because if they don't listen to me, if they get run off by hearing I'm the Christian whistleblower, if they get run off because I won't waste my time on a debate with someone that says they're a Christian but won't believe the Bible. Oh, I know it says that, but that's not what it means. I do not have time for that. I'm moving down to the next person that might want some help. And if that makes people mad, there's a method to my madness. I come hard because I'm only looking for people that are ready. And if you're not ready, then you won't take any of my time, and that's fine. That's exactly the way we want it, because you're not ready for me, and I ain't got time for you. And if that sounds tough, well, tough. The astounding lack of progress in the study of the human mind during the past thousands of years is partly attributable to its organ of focus, the brain, lying in a field, medicine, thank you, Rodney, which was and long may be considered an art, not a science. Oh, the art of being a doctor, the art of the medical arts. It's not really arts, it's just science, bruh. And I can't remain silent on this salient point. When you see the things in parentheses, that's not L. Ron Hubbard anymore. That's Jeffrey A. Daugherty. I can't remain silent on this salient point. Keeping the mind in the realm of art and in the realm of religion has allowed the development of the priesthood of psychiatry. And folks, the priesthood of psychiatry is even more sacrosanct or sacred than the priesthoods of religion. And really, psychology is a religion within itself. Now, religion, and that's just religion. That's good for Sunday. But psychology, you can't argue with psychology. Psychology is what it is, and psychology tells us about everything. Psychology is another religion, ladies and gentlemen. And psychology, it was created by the limbs. Never forget that. Psychology is created by the limbs, and it was created to hijack the study of the mind. Can't you see it's such a deep, dark conspiracy? And as we keep going, we keep finding more and more and more and more and more. The limbs started psychology, which turned into a priesthood, and it is done so to keep us from studying the mind objectively and to put the study of the mind in the hand of the mind rapers. That's putting the fox in charge of the hen house. And as Tracy adds in, that puts them in the best position to be rolling out their mind control technologies as well, doesn't it? Very, very powerful stuff. Very, very powerful stuff. And astoundingly, that's me, the studies of the cells of man have been largely done on dead tissue. You're trying to study the human being. You're trying to study the human being, and you're studying dead tissue. What's the problem with that? You're missing one little thing when you're studying dead tissue, one tiny little thing. You're missing life. How can you learn about a living organism by studying a dead organism? Now, you can learn location, you can learn anatomy, things like that, but you're never going to really understand that organism by studying dead organisms. You just can't, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know how. I really don't know how. I'd be almost far as to say can't, but obviously some of you are doing it. How do you live your life, and how do you survive and thrive without focused life force energy? I don't know how you do it, because focused life force energy is high consciousness on demand. If you go to jeffreydaugherty.com and click on the fluffy logo, you'll find out how to get 30 days free, or you'll also find out how to put this in your life right here, right now. And it's the best 30 some odd bucks that you'll ever spend. EMF mitigation, grounding. It helps clear up your mental capacities. It helps you absorb all of the nutrients that are in the food and water that you drink. And good news is you can take it through with your phone out into the world of craziness and bring some sanity. It's high consciousness, on demand, focused life force energy. And it's some really, really, really good stuff. So talking about, and this is a good point. Gabrielle says that fluffy's great, but there are a few people that are highly sensitive to it. And sometimes it makes them feel a little sick, sometimes a little queasy, sometimes a little headache. But what you can do is you just call the home office and they will adjust it. And Danielle's right, or Gabrielle's right. It takes a while. You just have to purge yourself of some of those things that are being reacted to fluffy, because it'll actually get rid of things that need to be purged within your body. And that's a great point, Gabrielle. Thank you for staying. You have to detox. Good point, Tracy. So formal laboratory studies in Dianetics, and there have been them, discovered that cells seem to be sentient in some inexplicable capacity. And if you've never looked at anything but a dead cell, you've never seen that it looks like cells are sentient. Well, how can a cell be sentient? And I'm not talking about a being. I'm talking about the cells are sentient. And unless we postulate a human soul, quote unquote, entering at conception, where, by the way, there is a proven observable spark of something. You can see this spark that occurs at conception. And unless we postulate that there's something of a metaphysical, beyond physical reality taking place, we've got no other option than to realize that cells have some individual sentience. Maybe if you don't want to, if you're an atheist and you're learning about Dianetics, which you certainly can, you're just going to have to say, oh, it's just a Dianetic thing. It's just a thing that cells have. When most of us that are of this mindset are convinced that there is an actual metaphysical divine interaction at conception, and that there is a spark, and it's called the spark of divinity. But whether you think it's a spark of divinity or you think it's just a cell spark, see, you can be an atheist and greatly benefit from Dianetics. You can be a Muslim and greatly benefit from Dianetics. You can be a Jew and greatly benefit from Dianetics. You can be a Christian and greatly benefit from Dianetics. Although most of you wouldn't, because, we don't like that. I won't go down that road right now. We'll stay talking about Dianetics. Now, there is a problem, though, because you've got to abandon past theories. You've got to abandon things that don't work if you're going to get yourself into a place of embracing things that do work. And when you abandon past theories, it may do damage to your treasured beliefs. It may cause you heartburn because your nostalgic love for the way it used to be has to cease. And if one is truly seeking all truth and not just supplemental and selective truth, you will experience this. But it's very interesting to me, and I'm on this flat earth thing now because I've recently come out and said I believe we don't live on a spinning ball. And you go into these places of all these people that don't believe we live on a spinning ball, and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. They hate me. Can you imagine hating anyone who's lovable, kind, caring, compassionate, humble, like me? You barely notice I'm there, and they all hate me. And words still mean things, folks. And they, in whatever text they're found in, don't care what we think. And what you've always believed, or what everyone knows, the words don't care. The text doesn't care. Reality doesn't care. Facts don't care. What you think, how you feel, what you believe. And you're going to get to a place where you're going to come to a crossroads, And the crossroads is that you're going to have to say, I'm willing to abandon any past theory that I have. I'm willing to abandon my treasured beliefs. I'm willing to walk away from my nostalgic love for the way it used to be if you can show some new truth to me. And I am finding that severely lacking in the Christian community, which is another reason why I am the Christian whistleblower. Tracy says, hold thoughts loosely. Very good. Very, very good. And Brandon says, words carry intentions, vibrational energy that has power. And words of hate, where do they come from? They come from vibration, intention, and energy that is hate. And how can someone that says they're a Christian and without fear of contradiction, the nastiest, most vicious people on YouTube that say the nastiest, most vicious things to people are Christians? Go and look at Rose 777's channel and look at the things that were said about me, and every one of them is said by a Christian. And they think they can tell you, you're an ugly, dirty-looking piece of shit, but God bless you. And they think that makes it all right. Why are we talking about this? Because it goes and it permeates through our life, and we've got to realize it if we ever want to get ourselves free of these things called engrams. And the cells as thought units evidently have an influence as cells upon the body as a thought unit and an organism. It's true in all life. The littlest cell affects the entire body. One single person affects all of humanity. When some half-baked Christian in a chat room viciously attacks another human, in this case me, it brings down the tone of all humanity. And the cells retain engrams of painful events. And I'm going to say this now, and I don't care if you like it or not, because it's true. Every single person that lashes out with hate, every single person that lashes out with rancor, every single person that lashes out vilifying people, it comes from engrams. They're aberrated. And the best way to keep from looking at you is to attack another person. The cells retain the engrams of painful events. After all, they're the things that got hurt. And people get hurt. And they have the engrams. And there's an old saying, I believe Jimmy Swaggart said this to me, first time I ever heard it. Hurting people hurt people. And if you're hurting a person, if you're saying, and I don't mean telling the truth about a person, I mean hurting a person, nasty, vengeful, angry, then you're hurting. And you need to be man enough or woman enough to find out why you're hurting so you stop hurting others. Because you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting humanity, and that ergo hurts you. Jenny, don't start with the tie and jacket stuff again. It's a show of respect, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is my channel, and I've heard enough of that from you. And evidently, folks, the cells contain a whip to punish the analyzer for every time it fails. And why'd you let me get hurt? And watch this when you talk about volatile. Watch this. Boom. I put this guy up there. The story of an engram seems to be the story of a battle between the troops. Okay, guess what? Bye, bitch. Forever. The battle of troops and a general every time he gets some of the troops killed off. The less fortunate this general is in protecting his troops, the more power the troops assume. The cells punish the brain to make it be a better general and stop hurting them so often. Ooh, think of that. So if you're in a group and the person that runs that group keeps doing things that are injurious to people, you ought to assume power yourself and overthrow that person and find a better leader. And cells were sorry that they'd put so much power in the hands of a central commander. There's a lesson there, folks. There's a lesson there, folks. And there's a lesson with this guy. I've got a video on here about him. You want to look at it. Now, the reactive mind may well be the combined cellular intelligence. The intelligence of just the individual cells themselves may collectively reside within the reactive mind. And the reactive engram bank may be stored in the cells themselves. What are you talking about? This may or not be the case, but it allows us to get a grip on the process of what happens during moments of unconsciousness. And we're going to talk about that right now. Breaking news, President Trump has announced declassification of Russian collusion in the Clinton email probe. Ooh, we'll talk about that tonight at 11 on Late Night in the Heartland. So, folks, what we're talking about is this. The organism, whether it's a cell or whether it's a group of cells, a person, an organism, the organism in the presence of physical pain takes the analyzer offline, takes it out of circuit so that there's a limited quantity or no quantity at all of personal awareness. When you undergo pain, severe trauma, your analytical mind shuts down. Why does it shut down? It shuts down to protect you or to withdraw the control power in the belief that the survival situation demands that the engram is best in this emergency. So it's Braveheart, right? And the British are shooting arrows at them or, shooting them with guns. The analytical mind will shut off, and they want that reactive mind, fight or flight. See, the reactive mind sometimes has a purpose, but last time I looked, there's not many British firing bullets at us. But if there's some, sometimes it's a use for it. But the problem is we think everything, our reactive mind thinks everything is a fight or flight situation. And most times, it's not. And the analyzer never agrees that it should be taken offline. And the way that you know that you're healthy is when your analyzer never gets taken offline. Never gets taken offline. I know it all comes around, trust me. Every percept present, that's every perception, everything you see, feel, think, hear, smell, taste, including the pain, gets recorded in engrams. In these non-analytical moments, whenever physical pain is involved, the analyzer gets shut down to a small or a large extent, depending upon the level of the pain and the level of the threat. So even if the pain's only an instant, there'll still be an instant there of analytical reduction. I was thinking about this. They always want you to get on your knees to pray, and getting on your knees is not comfortable. Getting on your knees usually involves a little bit of pain, so it allows you to slip out of your analytical mind just that little bit and gets an engram into your mind that they can use as a remote control to make you a marionette. Think of how many times you got down on your knees. Every little bitty pain, every little bitty gap in your analytical mind, it adds up to a really big gap. And that's why you get played like a marionette and you can't figure out why. My Christian friends, why do you think that even you that are holy, even you that are the most wonderful people that's ever graced earth, even you that is the most sanctified thing on 2 feet, why do you cuss when you hit your thumb with the nail, a hammer, or a nail? Why do you cuss? Because it's an engram and your analytical mind shuts off, and there's humiliation in kneeling. Plus, it puts you in close proximity to perform other services for the church, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, it's pain programming, as Lionel says. Now, we can now see that there's many ways in which analytical power can be shut down, and it can be seen that there's a greater or lesser reduction in your analytical powers. In other words, when you burn your finger on a cigarette, or you burn your finger because you're smoking some really good devil's lettuce, if you burn your finger, there's a small instant of pain. And it's a small instant in the reduction of your analyzer. Now, when you get an operation, you got a much longer period of unconsciousness, and you have a much more severe reduction of your analytical mind. And having an operation is a great, 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 great way to get engrams. So the reduction in your analytical power can be described in the same way that survival potential can be described. There's either a very little bit or there can be a great big amount of it. On the scale of survival potential, death would be at the bottom and immortality at the top, and it is. If you have a scale of survival, if you're almost dead, you're at the bottom. If you're moving and grooving, if you're immortal, you're on the top. There's infinite survival. We know we can be immortal. Now, is there infinite analytical power? Can we know and grow infinitely as an individual? Now, here Ron plays a little coy with us. He says that's a matter of mysticism, but it's really a matter of Scientology. Dianetics takes care of the body. Scientology takes care of the thetan, and we'll get there. Now, the reduction in your analytical power can be described in the same way that the survival potential can be described. There can be a little bit of reduction in your mind or in your tone, or there can be a lot. Now, on the scale of survival, death is at the bottom, immortality is at the top. There is infinite survival, but there's this thing called the tone scale. When you're moving and grooving, you're way up here at the top. When you're dead, you're way down here at the bottom. And the engrams can affect you in varying ways. You burn your finger, you might drop just a little bit. You go into a surgery and they're partying and playing Little Wheezy, and you may drop further and further. You know what I mean? There's a definite relationship between your tone and the amount of analytical shutdown. Little shutdown, little drop. Long shutdown, long drop. And the person that's well and healthy, they have a high scale, a high level of consciousness, if you will, because what's his name? Hawkins, the guy that Jay loves, he stole this from L. Ron Hubbard. He stole this from L. Ron Hubbard. So this is the real deal. The other thing's the fake deal. And that guy gave me somebody in his family gave me a strike. Hawkins or whatever the hell his name is. Gave me a strike. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And the well and healthy individual can be considered to have the high tone. And the individual severely sick or in agony would have a very low tone because they're getting ready to die. And there's a direct relationship between your tone and your survival potential. Have you ever known people? Guess what? Nobody super duper happy kills themselves unless they have just spilled some beans on Hillary Clinton. Then it happens. But people that are happy, people that are engaged, people that are full of vibrancy, yeah, David Hawkins, I think his name is, they don't kill themselves. It's people that are depressed, people that are down, people that look for all that's wrong and can't see what's right. It's the people that are really, really down that end up killing themselves. So if you can keep your tone high, not only will you not matter to kill yourself, but you will be much more healthy. And Dianetics is all about clearing the stuff out of you that keeps you from being in high tone. There's a direct relationship between the tone, your place in the tone scale, and we'll look at this, and your potential survival. And not only survival, but you're flourishing, you're prospering. You're not just living life, but you're enjoying the hell out of it. You're like me. I'm telling you what, I wake up in the morning and I can't wait to jump out of bed because I know I got a great, wonderful, fantastic day ahead. I got a beautiful woman. I got a bunch of great animals. I got a bunch of crazy animals on this channel that want more. And I love giving it. They cry more, more, more. And I just give it. I got a rebel yell. 11 o'clock tonight. Late night in the hizzy. No, the heartland. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All the percepts, ladies and gentlemen, all your senses of perception are included in the engram. 2 of those are physical pain. and painful emotion. The third is organic sensation. This one doesn't get enough press. How were you feeling? How were you when the engram was received? Physical pain. Dude broke his arm, fell down, sprained his neck, right? And he was hurt emotionally. But also there's something beyond emotion. How was his thetan? How was his spirit affected? People that go through severe trauma and don't get injured themselves can still have a thetan, their heart, their soul, their spirit that is in a sling and a collar. And you have greater or lesser unconsciousness that is present after that loss. Those of you that have experienced great traumatic losses that didn't include physical pain will often say like, oh, for 2 months, I was like a zombie. Your analytical mind was, if not off, greatly reduced. And that's a great time for engrams to come in, to be formed. Folks, this is the answer to every single problem you've got. And if you'll just stay with me, this is a lot of data this time, but stay with me. It all comes around and it makes sense. Jeffrey Daugherty, clearing fools with a rebel yell. That's what I'm here for, Joe Mama. That's what I'm here for. And then engrams can be reactivated by re-stimulators. Oh, shit. That's why you had a big trauma, you got over it. And then something happens and inexplicably, you're right back into that trauma as if it happened yesterday. And we'll cover the re-stimulators in our next presentation, ladies and gentlemen. We'll cover those re-stimulators in our next presentation. We're talking about how to create yourself through white Dianetics so you can live the life you love. Brandon says, so is this why auditing is so important to clear yourself? Yes, Brandon, because auditing is the only way to clear yourselves. Dianetics is the only way that is known to man that will effectively clear engrams, and it does it every single time without fail. Every single time without fail. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'm going to welcome in my good friend, Ken, the spiritual scientist, and he's going to talk to, I don't, you know what? I've never done this before, but I trust Ken. And Ken says, I want to come do a show with you. What can we talk about? I said, Ken, just think of something and make sure you blow my mind. So I don't know what it'll be. All I know is that Ken, the spiritual scientist, will be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. And Ken also happens to be the CEO of C60 Purple Power. Cynthia and I have a person near and dear to us in our life, suffered strokes, great loss of mental acuity, started taking C60, made a tremendous comeback according to them. Cliff High says he's alive because of this. This is part of the reason why I'm like I am. I tell you what, C60 and ketones, hell of a drug. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on that C60 logo. There's a great discount built in for you folks. And I can't encourage you enough to take the C60 Purple Power. All right, what do we got? Brandon talking about the great late night in the heartland. It is amazing, folks. You got to be there tonight at 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. I think the calls can support it. If the calls can support it, I will go the extra mile and I'll keep it open 11 till 2, 11, 12, 1, 3 hours, 11 till 2, late night in the heartland. We know we're sorry Eddie Van Halen died. We really are. We can't do anything about it. We're really sorry. Condolences go out to his home, or not his home, but to his people. All right. What else? David, appreciate it. Feel the same way about you. Cells do have memory, Brandon says. It's like a bee helping an injured bee. Tracy, that's a very elegant analogy because if there's any living being that is most like a cell working in a body, it's a bee. And that's how bees do. And it's a great analogy. Thank you for bringing that. Like gathers to like to sustain the like. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Let the hate empower you to bring freedom to everybody. Our founders were viewed as traitors at the time and are now becoming reviled. Never apologize for serving a greater purpose, says Brandon. That's beautiful. Daniel, this bears repeating. Daniel asks in very polite fashion, is Dianetics a form of spiritual psychology? No, absolutely not. It's no form of psychology. Dianetics is a collection of spiritual technologies. Psychology is a religion and, in my opinion, a racket. JM says, you've piqued my curiosity with all of your talk about Dianetics, white Dianetics, JM, and I thank you for being here with an open mind. Tracy Dyer, until you're clear, which means all your engrams have been removed, your spiritual journey will be hindered. It will be hindered. No ifs, no ands, no buts. I know that hurts your feels, but guess what? Facts don't care about your feels. Harry says you can't force flat earth or a topic that mainstream media is bashing. People need to be ready on their time. No argument with that at all, Harry. I just wish that the people that have already studied their way into FE will give a break to somebody like Emmy. That's all. Am I whining a little bit? I am whining a little bit because I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. The nastiest people I've ever seen were Christians, but the nastiest people are flat earth Christians. Oh my, they're so nasty. They're so nasty. Gabrielle with a great comment before. She says, I think the people who are ascended and spiritual gurus are the most indoctrinated and afflicted with confirmation bias. Gabrielle laying down the truth. The people that call themselves, I mean, should I say it, Cynthia? I've heard people say, I'm one of the most spiritual people on the planet. And then they turn vicious and mean and ugly and nasty. I'm a great Christian, vicious, mean, ugly, nasty. Gabrielle, I think you hit on a truth. Whenever someone starts telling you and proclaiming to you what a spiritual giant they are, hang on to your wallet and get out of there and go somewhere else, because that is a dangerous individual. That's a dangerous individual. Gabrielle, thank you for bringing us that sobering reminder. Wow. Rodney says we're dropping bombs. Thank you, Rodney. Daniel calls psychologists mind controllers, and they are to a greater or lesser degree. Not everybody that's a psychologist is a terrible person, but they are participating in a system that's terrible for persons. Alexi says it's hard, but it's true. Absolutely. What about consuming dead tissue? Brandon is on us about veganism, vegetarianism. And you know what, Brandon? You want to be a vegan? You want to be a vegetarian? I completely support you. And I did and was. I was vegan for a year, 12 months, vegetarian for almost 4 years. And I never felt worse. It just did not work for Jeffrey Daugherty. And I know, well, it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And Brandon, you know, I love you, love the hell out of you. But when you say eating meat doesn't fulfill you either, that may be true for Brandon, but it ain't true for Jeffrey. And it ain't true for a lot of people. And the problem is we're living in a place that is not the way it's supposed to be. And from my studies and from my experience, the way to flourish and prosper, thrive, and survive is by the consumption of animal protein. Do I like it? No, I dislike it. Because I was a vegetarian and vegan for moral purposes. But We're in a world where it has to be, and I give homage and thanks to the animal, and I eat it, and I survive, and I thrive. We have to be careful when we say we think that something that is good for me is good for all of thee, because many times it's not. Brandon, I can certainly see that not eating meat fulfills you. And I support you 100% for that. But when you say eating meat does not fulfill you either, you're not qualified to make that statement because you have never been me and you never will. Let's be more loving with each other. Vibrant love as a vegetarian. Vibrant love, great. I'm glad. I hope it works for you. And I'm not going to start citing all the studies that show that vegetarian people get sick and that vegetarian people die young and that vegetarian people look all ashy and shit. I'm not going to start going down that road with you. Because I don't, as a person that consumes animal proteins, I don't feel like I've got to convince you to stop being a vegetarian. What works for you is great. We can even go out to eat together. You can have the rabbit food, I'll have the people food. I'm joking. We can go out to eat together. We can even have a barbecue together. Dude, Vibrant Love, I make a hell of a carrot dog. Who remembers the carrot dogs? Who remembers the carrot dogs? Jeff, that spark at the time of conception is crazy beautiful, says Rob. The first time he saw it, it brought a tear to his eye. It's a very powerful thing to see. A very powerful thing to see. Intentions from a loving creator create loving things. Vibrant love. Very well said. Very well said. You need Jesus. Why? He ain't done much for you. Paraphrasing Tracy Dyer. You need Jesus. Why? So I could be a nasty bitch like you? No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm over here great without Jesus. Because I'm a decent person without Jesus, and you're a bitch with him. Hurting people hurt people. Protecting is very, very real. And so is projecting, says Terry McBride. Daniel says this makes sense. Lionel. Angel was upset because she went off on a Democrat. And Lionel says, it's okay, Angel. It was just a Democrat. Lionel, I know that you're being sarcastic, but that is some funny shit right there. Carmen, this is so good. Attacking people lowers your energy. You're literally giving your energy to them. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Good stuff. There's humiliation in kneeling. Absolutely. Joe Mama, you're the man. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We've made it the norm. Our body regenerates every 7 years. That's to aging. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Joe says Jeffrey speaks truth. I try. Everything I come out of my mouth, I at least believe it's true. And I have 40 years behind me saying that it's true. Will you please hit the like button? Will you please hit the dislike button? Will you please hit the subscriber button and hit the bell along with it, ladies and gentlemen? Help us. Help us. And this is one of the reasons why I like Brandon so well. Ooh, Tracy. Psychology and psychiatry aren't about healing people. They want you on their couch weekly. Ooh, they want you on their couch weekly. Brandon does still eat some fish, and Brandon says he understands, and he's considering consuming a little bit of chicken. I'm with you, Brandon. I'm with you. And when I'm, yeah. By the way, folks, day 14, 15, day 16 of the fast, rocking and rolling. Gary said couldn't be a vegetarian. It didn't work for me either. It did not work for me. Chuck offering anatomical evidence that leans towards us being an omnivore. Amy hates meat. but has to eat it for some health reasons. I feel you. Deet says that he is a donutarian. He's a donutarian. Donuts are his staple food. And you know what? Donuts have feelings too, Deets. Donuts have feelings too. Chuck says, I'll continue to eat the blessed creatures provided for our consumption. I hear you. I hear you. And this is get daggers. You know, these, oh, I'm a vegetarian. Would you eat these meat stuff? Oh, yeah, they're great. Read a box, bruh. And by the way, Bill Gates owns a company that makes most of them. I don't mean to wreck your world, but when vegetarians start virtue signaling, and I haven't known many of them that do, but when a vegetarian starts virtue signaling, I just pick up a box and show them what's in it. Oh, you're going to eat, I'm bad because I eat meat, but you willing to stuff your face with all this stuff that you can't even pronounce that is chemical after chemical after chemical. And oh, by the way, Bill Gates' company makes it. So there we go. Gary asked the perfect question. Why do you care what other people eat? Touche, Gary. Touche. Touche. Karen was a vegetarian in her 20s, started going gray early. But Karen loves carrot dogs. What's up, Karen? I'm with you. I'm with you. Tracy says, don't partake in impossible meat because that comes from Bill. That comes from Bill. As long as it's not Soylent Green, Gary's good. I love it. I love it. Thanks for the laughs, Jeff. You know, it's part of what I do. If you haven't noticed, comedy is part of what we do. Ooh. Tracy always got to go right for the jugular. Tracy don't play. Tracy says vegan is a mind control religion. She might be right. There is some data. There is some data. There is some data. I'll be pigging out tomorrow after my 48-day fast. Be careful, Dagger. I'm sure you've done it before. Be careful. Because it tastes really good till you start feeling that rumble. You got to be careful when you come off the fast. Folks, you can create yourself and live the life you love by the application of white Dianetics. I will add this to the playlist. The playlist is on the front of our channel. Watch it, learn it, live it. Live it. Religion is a corporation, says Raven Caw. Absolutely. So tonight at 11 p.m., we will kick off our extravaganza of entertaining enlightenment. It's enterlightenment, ladies and gentlemen. Who says you can't have a damn good time while you're learning some shit? Wake up overnight. Tune in to Late Night in the Heartland, starring all of you. Open line, call in, love me, hate me, call me amazing, call me an asshole. There's only two rules. Only two rules. Be polite and be interesting. Hashtag LNITH, Late Night in the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. As always, Cynthia making things happen. Great chat room. Tracy, Brandon, all of y'all, I salute you for being here seeking after truth. Ask questions. Question answers. That'll help you unindoctrinate yourself. This world is going to be better than it's ever been, sooner than you can even imagine, if, having unindoctrinated yourself, you get busy. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, your mailman, and you've got mail. Another delivery coming at 11 p.m. Central Time.